Hello everyone, I am Tanesha Andolin from SMA SANTO PAULUS PONTIANAK, and today I am speaking as the first speaker of the government team. Today I would like to talk about this house would abolish primary and middle school years that group children based on their age, and instead group them with competency and intelligence. So in status quo, we realized that we group these students based on age. That is why we have batch classes and so on right now. It is so that they can learn with their fellow friends of the same age and can be friends with each other more easier and more comfortable because they're on the same age, right? But, however, it is a fact that it is not effective in terms of education for both smart and below average students because the students will find it very hard to focus on the learning pace of each student. Each class have different learning pace of students, right? So the teachers will find it very hard to focus. Like for example, if the teacher decide to focus on the smart ones who got better learning pace or faster learning pace, then it will harm the below average students because they will not understand what teachers are teaching them, or they will find it very hard to catch up on the material the teacher is teaching. However, if the teacher decides to focus on the below average students instead, then the smart ones will find it very boring in class because they already mastered the material. That is why this house has come to a solution, which is the motion that I said earlier. And firstly, I would like to explain the definition of the motion. So first, the word abolish here means that we will erase the grouping based on age, while instead will be replaced by a new system where they will be grouped based on intelligence and competency. I have prepared my arguments into 3 points. So the first point is about the mechanism. I will explain about how the mechanism will work. First, we will not abolish the middle school or the primary schools and so on, but instead we will erase the batch classes. So there will be no longer like first or second or third graders anymore. And before entering school, there will be a task to test each student's their intelligence and competency in all subjects. Classes that requires practical or physical skills will have their own practical and physical tests also, like for example PE and computer class and so on. Students then will be grouped each subject based on their test result. So there will be a moving class instead of regular class. So for example, if they're good in math, they will be placed on higher class of math. Meanwhile, if they're bad in English, then they will be placed in lower class of English. Because I realized that all students must have subjects that they're good and bad with, right? So it won't be fair if we just group them by the learning pace and just let them learn like how the mixed class did. That is why I have come out with this mechanism so that they can learn based on their level. So basically, the mechanism means that each subject will have its own grouping because of the reason I said earlier. So the second point of my argument is about how can we make sure that there will not be any social problems that will harm the education environment at school, like labeling and superiority or inferiority. Because I realized that people must have afraid if we group these students based on intelligence, because those who are in higher class will feel superior and start to intimidate those who are in lower class. But no, it will not happen because of the mechanism I work on will prevent this problem. Like those who are why? Because all students will know the strength and weakness of each student and also the strength and weakness of their own. Like for example, if I entered a lower class of English class, then I will not feel intimidated or feel inferior from those who are in the higher class of English class. Because, for example, I know that they're bad in math or they're bad in biology, which I mastered. And for example, also, if we can also be friends with each other, just like in mixed class, but the only difference is that we can be more actively befriend outside the school time, like for example during extracurricular and anything. So this way also can make the students be more excited by knowing that they're actually this time making progress in their own classes and will not feel intimidated by others in higher classes. And the third point of my argument is that there will be no more narrow standard of intelligence and competency, and this method of learning will be effective for all students. So as we know that intelligence and competency have so many types, right? There are like emotional intelligence, or there are intelligence like for those who are good in counting things, or for those who are good in practical things, and so on. So I realized that each subject have their own nature. Each subject requires a specific type of intelligence. That is why by having a grouping of each subject will make the students also being grouped based on those intelligence also. So there will be no more narrow no more narrow standard of intelligence and competency anymore, just like how it still did in the status quo. So for example, there's a subject that requires like public speaking skills as their most used kind of intelligence. So when these subjects have their own groupings, that means the students will also group based on, for example, public speaking skills. So that's why those who are good in, for example, public speaking will be placed on a higher class of the subject, while those who are still not good in public speaking will be placed on the lower class and keep learning the skills also. It is shown that it is more effective and efficient for students because they can finally learn well based on their true level. Because in mixed class, they can never know the true level because they are trying to catch up with the pace or trying to slow down with the learning pace of the class. So they're hindered their potential in the mixed class. Meanwhile, in this motion, they can finally show their true potential. They can finally find a way to make a progress to achieve their potential. Also, they can improve better in academic and soft or hard skills required from each subject. So, in conclusion, I believe that this method of learning at school is much better than mixed class we have in status quo. Thank you.